Well, hello and welcome again to our reading of Odyssey, Book 1, and this is still part of this long discussion between Telemachos and Athena, and Telemachos has been explaining how the wealthy young men of Ithaca and the surrounding islands are wooing his mother, and in the process they're eating him out of house and home. And he says, soon, indeed, they will they'll ruin me also. And Pallas Athena said to him in reply, and we get this participle here, and this is a feminine participle from ep-alastio. It's an extremely rare word. It doesn't appear again in Greek until Apollonius of Rhodes in the Argonautica. And you'll recall that Apollonius made an art form of selecting the most rare and obscure words out of Homer to use in his work, the Argonautica. Well, this is one of them. So ep-alastio, it probably has the sense of being annoyed, being upset, not at Telemachos, of course, but at the situation in which he finds himself. So Pallas Athena replied to him, having become annoyed, "O popoi," which is a funny expression. It's one of anger or annoyance generally. It's hard to translate. It's sort of like how terrible. And now we get a, which is surely, and the emphatic day. So surely, in fact, there's the verb here, due, second person. You need, Polon adverbial muchly, so you are in great need of Odysseus, who is oikomenu, who was absent. And he, FAA, this again is, this is from F-Hiami, so with the ket, he would put forth his hands against, so F plus hiami, he would release his hands against, and it takes a dative, these shameless suitors. Now we get agar plus the optative here, which is would that. So it's not if here, but would that now, having come, he might stand in the front area near the door, so in the forecourt. Having Paleka, this is from Palex, it's one of the 4 words for a helmet in Homer. So he might have his, so having his helmet and his shield and 2 spears. This is the word for wood, but it's generally used in Homer for the spear. It's the whole and part kind of thing. So I think the technical term is metonymy, where the spear is made from wood. So you use the word 2 woods, meaning 2 spears. Now, in the next bit, it's slightly disjointed, and we have a very long digression. And it's disjointed because he goes to start off to say something, but then gets distracted and very disjoint. He doesn't pick it up until we get right down here in 265. And he repeats toios own, toios eon. So it's literally, so he says, would that he might do this, being such a man as I, Taprota, at first, in Noesa, I saw him. So being the sort of man he was when I first saw him, in the house, in our house, drinking and terpomenon and enjoying himself, and Ionta, having come up from Ephuri. This is generally the word used in reference to Corinth or some nearby town, but here probably it's just a town of the same name, near the area of Thesprotia. So having come up from Ephuri, from beside Ilus, the son of Merides, literally the son of Baneful. So from Ilus, the son of Merides, for he came also there on, Odysseus came also there on his swift ship, and he was Ditsamenos, seeking literally man-murdering drug. So seeking some man-destroying drug. Opera, so that it might be hoi for him. So we get, this is the optative after Opera here, so that it might be for him, so it might be possible for him, Kriesthai, to anoint his eus, his arrows, which were bronze tipped. So he wants poison to put onto his end of his arrows as a way of making sure that he really kills the person he's shooting at. So it's a pretty nasty thing, and that's what he was looking for. But he, this must refer back to Ilus, but he did not give it hoi to him, hoi for auto again. He did not give it to him, since he showed reverence for, he was worried about any repercussions from the gods who live forever, or who live always. So he feared reprisal from the gods who live forever. But Allah, Emos Pater, my father, Doken for Edoken, gave them to him. Now we get a nice, this is from Filio, we get this nice iterative sk ending here. It's a nice example of Homer's use of the iterative sk. There are lots of verbs that survive into later Greek with this iterative sk. This is actually a verb phileo with this ending added onto it. It's an iterative form, so he loved him continually, and Ainos terribly. So we would say, for he was extremely fond of him. Now the next line picks up this, what we had up here, this toios eon that we had up here, and it closes off this little digression. So being such a man, as he was when all this happened before, being such a man, Odysseus, this is optative, homilio, well, this means to keep company with, but he's being slightly sarcastic here. Would that being such a man, Odysseus might meet with the suitors. And of course we know once he meets with the suitors what will happen. All of them, now we get a ket, and we get our optative, and again this is a sonant n here. This is the third person plural. We've seen this many times before. So all of them literally would be swift of doom and bitter for marriage. So we could translate it by saying they would all have a swift doom, and their marriages would be bitter. And their marriage would be bitter. Now we get this beautiful line, which is a piece of imagery that comes into English, but here it is. This is it for this is where it comes from Homer. But indeed, atoi men, but indeed these things, katai, neuter plural singular verb, lie literally on the knees of the gods. So our expression to be in the lap of the gods, this is where it comes from Homer. Possibly connected with the idea of putting offerings onto the knees of the statues of the gods. This is where the idea may have come from in earlier religious acts, and hence this expression arose. So these things, but indeed these things lie on the knees or in the lap of the gods. A and A, either having returned home safely, he would get vengeance, he would get revenge, A kai uki, or he won't. and to get vengeance, and then it follow in the next little bit, in his house, in his halls. There's the personal adjective again. But I bid Enoga, this is perfect in form, present in meaning, but I bid you, Phrazesthai, to give thought, Hopos, how, Apocei, this is from apotheo, and it's with ke, so this is second person from apotheo, to push away, to drive out. So I bid you to give thought as to how you would drive out the suitors from the hall. Age, this again is idiomatic, but come now. Xun ie is the this is an imperative from xun hiemi, to understand. So understand now, and empasdio, this is from empasdamai, show regard for my words. And so Athena's about to give him some advice as to what he's going to do. Avrion, tomorrow, having called the Achaean heroes into the assembly, never the marketplace in Homer, into the assembly, Pephrade, this is a reduplicated aorist imperative, something like speak out a word to all, and this is third person plural imperative from Amy, and let the gods, and this is a preverb here, so, and let the gods be your witnesses over these things. So let the gods be your witnesses. And we'll finish there.